All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. So a lot of people have been asking me what I think about Phil Heath and whether or not I believe he has the potential to break the all-time Olympia record of winning 8 Mr. Olympia competitions. Now, to answer that question, I believe the answer is yes. And to really make an analysis of whether or not he can do it, we got to really look at the other people who have won 8. And then we got to really look at the factors that contributed them to winning those 8. So first and foremost, Phil Heath is only 37 years old, and he has already won 6 Mr. Olympia competitions. So the other 2 guys that have won 8 are Ronnie Coleman and Lee Haney. So let's look at Ronnie Coleman first. So Ronnie Coleman won his last Mr. Olympia in 2005 at the age of 40. So if Phil Heath needs to win 8 Olympias to tie the record, he would be 39 when he wins his 8th Olympia, and he would be 40 when he wins his 9th. So I don't think age is a factor that's holding Phil Heath back, because Ronnie Coleman won his last Olympia at the age of 40 in 2005. Then he placed second in 2006 at the age of 41. Then he retired at the age of 42 in 2007. So I think Phil Heath definitely has a good maybe 5 years left of competing, probably at least 3 years left of being a top Olympia threat to the title. So Lee Haney, it's important to note that nobody dethroned Lee Haney. So Lee Haney just competed, and he won his last Olympia in 1991. And he just competed until he just didn't want to compete anymore, and nobody ever beat Lee Haney. So that's important to note, that Ronnie Coleman was actually beaten at an Olympia. Lee Haney was not. He just chose to retire. So the next thing that we're looking at is competitive threats to the title. So obviously in Ronnie Coleman's day, he had Jay Cutler constantly nipping at his heels, constantly placing second, and eventually beating him to win the Mr. Olympia competition. So in the case of Phil Heath, we had that for a few years with Phil and Kai Green. Kai Green was constantly, right on Phil's heels, constantly pushing him, constantly placing second, and constantly coming close to winning in a lot of people's opinions. Now we have guys like Shawn Rhoden placing second, and I don't think Shawn Rhoden is nearly the same level of a threat as Kai Green was. I think Shawn Rhoden is definitely older than Phil, and he's falling off the map, and I think Phil has more longevity in the sport than Shawn Rhoden does. So overall, I don't think Shawn Rhoden is going to be a threat to Phil's career. So we also have to look at the obvious, like Big Ramy. People have been saying, for the past, 5 years now, that Big Ramy would be the guy that's going to dethrone Phil every single year at the Olympia. Everyone says Big Ramy's going to beat Phil this year. Big Ramy's going to beat Phil this year. But so far, the past, 4 or 5 years, he hasn't been able to do it. So in the near future, I don't see Big Ramy as being a threat. So what we really need to look at is the next 3 years, like I said. So between now and the age of 40, the next 3 years is when Phil Heath needs to focus on winning all 3 of these Olympias. So if Big Ramy wins an Olympia, in my opinion, it'll be maybe 5 years down the line. I don't think he's going to win it in 1 year. I don't think he's going to win it the 2017 Olympia that's coming up, and I don't think he's going to win the 2018 Olympia that's coming up. So he might be able in 3 years to get himself to the point that he needs to be to win the Olympia 3 years from now, and maybe prevent Phil from getting 9 Olympias. But I think certainly that he is not a threat in terms of preventing Phil from winning 8. I think he's definitely a threat to the title. I think one day he might win the Mr. Olympia. He probably will. But Big Ramy is only 32 years old, so he's 5 years younger than Phil Heath. So he has a lot of time to mature that muscle and a lot of time to come into his own. So again, 3 years from now, Big Ramy is only going to be 35. So he would be probably in his prime at 35. So maybe after that point, maybe Phil will win 9 and retire, and then that's when Big Ramy will win. So to answer the question that I've been asked, a lot of people are not going to like this answer because a lot of people don't like Phil Heath, but I think he has the physique to win 9 Olympias. I think he could break the record if he wanted to, but I think certainly he has the potential to tie the record, pretty easily. The past couple years, he's won the Olympia decisively. I know there was a couple years where he had a bubble gut issue, a conditioning issue, but the past 2 years he's been, pretty solid at the Olympia, and he's won, by a significant margin. So I think for the next 2 years he may be able to maintain that, maybe even do better and win at least 2 more Olympias. And I think 3 Olympias is not that unrealistic at this point. So do I think he can win 9 in a row? I absolutely do. Do I think he can win 8? Chances are pretty good that he's going to win 8. So in my opinion, Phil will win 9 Olympias and potentially break that title. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I know a lot of you guys are not big fans of Phil Heath's, but personally, I think he's a great bodybuilder. I think he has great potential, great genetics, and he just has a great build for the sport, man. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to hear that, but I think he will potentially tie the record and potentially win and break that record with 9 Mr. Olympia wins. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please give the video a thumbs up. Nick Strength and Power signing out.